I got sort of drunk and kissed him. He pushed me away and said that he didn't feel that way about me. I was pretty crushed and embarrassed. Women who got friend-zoned, what is your story? The last couple weeks I've been on 5-6 dates with this guy, a cop I've known for years. Yesterday he texts me, "I'm really enjoying hanging out with you. I know we're not boyfriend-girlfriend material, but I can see us being great friends." Today, he asked me out for lunch and told me about the date he had last night. He told me it wasn't a romantic date, just a friend date like what we do. Yup, I'm pretty sure I'm friend-zoned. This guy would come over to my house and insist on cuddling and watching movies the whole time, would keep me up all night on the phone because he slept better when he could hear my voice, would send me good morning texts, and hold my hand whenever the opportunity presented itself, then told his best friend that he wished I would just get over it. I went on a couple dates with one guy I'd met through friends, or so I thought. We proceeded to hook up, and 3 days later he was dating another girl. He thought we were both just lonely and hanging out. I thought he was the bee's knees. We're great friends to this day, but I cried every time I saw him for the longest. I've friend-zoned guys before, but never since that day. I make it a point to be very upfront and honest. I didn't realize how much worse than heartbreak the friend zone felt. I was in love with my best friend for 3 years. We did everything together, went to the movies, had Doctor Who nights, went hiking, etc. He would even stop by to talk to me at work and texted me every night about which episodes of Star Trek were on. He told me all his stuff and I told him mine. He helped me out of my depression and was the first one I told when I had an accident. We gave each other gifts and everyone thought we were dating. He even encouraged the image when we were out in public, but it never went anywhere. Instead of telling me he simply wasn't attracted to me, we continued a charade of couple-like behavior. He started dating someone and I felt I needed to be blunt. Blunter than I had already been. I told him I loved him and he didn't talk to me for a year. He got married in September. I'm engaged now, so I guess it all worked out for the best in the end. I'd had an absolutely massive 4-year-long crush on a friend of mine. I got worse than friend-zoned though. You're just like a sister to me. Just recently he came out, and he asked me if I'd think it's okay if he hooked up with my brother. Full hardcore boy, spend a collective 2 months in a casual fling, spread over 5 months. He serenades me. A few days later he tells me he wants to get back with his ex. Whatever, get over him. Mostly, all is well. Then 6 months later, he calls me and tells me he needs someone to talk to. I, of course, go with him. He drives me around while ranting about his, once again ex-girlfriend. We drive past a place where, apparently, they had sex in the parking lot and tells me all about it. He spends about 2 hours telling me why he's crazy about this girl and why she pisses him off. Then he takes me home and never talks to me again. Yay. This sorta goes along with this thread. I totally friend-zoned this girl in high school. I'd gone to elementary and middle school with her as well, and she was always sort of the weird girl out of the girly girl group. She wasn't chubby, but she wasn't skinny either. Anyway, fast forward 2 years, she plays the trombone in the high school band and has one of her friends give me this note asking me to the Sadie Hawkins. I said no, mostly because I wasn't planning on going at all, but also because she was just a little out there for my tastes. In college, I met her at a bar once, and she's gorgeous, smart, and hilarious. I think ultimately, I lost. I'm a Reddit guy and I have friend-zoned a few females before. Although I hate the use of the term friend-zone, I much prefer the term selective dating. There have been a few females before who, even though they are very attractive females, I have felt I would benefit more from a friendship with them than a relationship. I feel it is important for myself to have a mix of male and female friends, and although some of you may find this hard to comprehend, I truly believe this is the best path to a healthy lifestyle. I kept getting friend-zoned by this guy that I liked and had been friends with for about 3 years. Feelings didn't start right away. I got vibes from him, also what I thought were vibes. One night we were both wasted and we ended up sleeping together. I thought to myself, OMG, this is it, he's gonna tell me he has feelings for me too. He ends up telling me that he's gay and that he was trying to force something that wasn't there. But after the drunk encounter he realized that he wasn't even sexually attracted to girls. This really was the best outcome, as we're now best friends and he found himself in the process. I've had my current job for about 7 months now. I'm a secretary in a doctor's office. It's a bigger office and there are a few doctors there, and one of them has this amazingly hot son, who comes in to help out every now and then when he's not in school. He and I became good friends over time, and I inevitably developed feelings for him, which I assumed were mutual judging by his constant flirting and compliments. So you can imagine my surprise when he pulls me aside one day and asks for my advice, because he is planning on proposing to the girlfriend I didn't know existed until that very moment. If I had balls, they would have shriveled up and crawled back inside. Hello, friendzone, you merciless son of a bee. One of my good friends had left for the army. I know how lonely you can feel in the military, so I decided to drop over $500 to go halfway across America to a city in Georgia that is basically the first level of hell. One tumbleweed-filled mall, a few fast food restaurants, and my hotel. It was awful and humid, but it was worth it to see him, just for a few days. We'd been friends since middle school. He was there when my boyfriend broke my heart. I was there when his girlfriend did the same. It was a beautiful friendship, really, and people often made comments about us being a couple. I kinda got sucked into the thought, to be honest. Anyways, I go to a crappy city in Georgia to spend just a few days with him. We have a sweet running reunion jump hug combo. He shows me off to a few of his army friends, and get shakes and burgers together at this old-fashioned ma and pa diner. The next day all we do is cuddle and laugh. We held hands through the crappy one-horse mall. He helped me pick out a cute summer dress. I even initiated a kiss or two. It was like a movie. It was beautiful. I even wrote a poem that night. I was so inspired by the overflow of emotions. A few months later he comes back home. I invited him over to have a Skyrim party with a few friends. Denied. Oh. Invited him to go to dinner. Nope. Okay. Hang out, watch movies and cuddle, make hot cocoa, drive by high five, nada, nothing. Zip. I didn't get to see him for about 2 months and he lived right down the road. Turns out his ex who was dating his best friend while he was gone told him to stop hanging out with me, and after I asked him about it I got the classic "we make better friends than a couple anyways haha." Alright ladies, this is friend zoning. I had a massive crush in high school head over heels. We become friends because I learned on TV that friendship leads to being girlfriend-boyfriend. Curse you 90s romantic comedies that promised the shy quiet loner when applied a montage makeover sequence could get the anything of their dreams. Becomes clear that this person doesn't like me in that way but wants to stay friends. Sucks but cool. I hit on another person almost a year later, and former crush breaks down in tears because they are afraid they will lose me and doesn't like seeing me with other people. Because I'm young and naive I take this for hope that I got a shot. Nope. Next 2 years of constant rebuffs, but the slightest hints I am attracted to anyone else leads to waterworks. That is friend zoning. A guy has to be pretty out of touch to not realize that no girl can get any guy she wants. The whole friend zone thing stems from the idea that if a guy does the right thing, the girl will fall for him. Like pickup artist moves, it ignores the fact that women care what you look like and don't all want the same behaviors from a guy. But my favorite story about a guy not being interested was I was once set up with a guy on a group trip. From the second we met, I realized he was not interested and was willing to switch to friend mode. The guy proceeded to make it so awkward that I had to avoid him entirely. It was like he thought I was going to lunge on him if I got within 5 feet of him. Totally in love with the guy who introduced me to Reddit. He pays for my meals, cooked me dinner once, offered to meet my parents the last time he picked me up for dinner. Sounds not so bad, right? Last week we were at a bar with some friends and he brought up the birthday gift I gave him and said yep she's the greatest friend ever and tried to give me a high five. I witnessed my own friend zoning moment. Told him how I felt. Did not get the response I would have hoped for. Cried a bunch. Unlike most people, when I like someone like that and I learn they don't like me like that back, I usually stop hanging out with them. I don't want to torture myself. So, no, I have not been friend zoned. I think it is a choice. Accept it and move on, or live in a fantasy hell you created all your own. So, I may or may not have friend zoned a girl a few years ago without realizing it at the time. I worked at an animal hospital when I was in high school. There was one other girl who was my age, and we became good friends. Joking around at work, After a few months, rumors started to spread that we liked each other. I laughed them off as my coworkers being nosy. I didn't like her. So, one day she comes up to me and asks me if I'd like to get pizza after work. We hadn't hung out outside of work, so I said sure. It was fun, but at work everyone called it a date. I said it wasn't, that we were just friends. She obviously heard this, so she asked if I would like to go on a date with her. I told her I wasn't really looking for a relationship at that time. Right around this time I left the hospital and we drifted apart. I started dating a girl from my school shortly thereafter. A few weeks later I decided to try to talk to the girl at the animal hospital, and she is very upset with me. Apparently she had to work up the courage to ask me out for a long time, and the fact that I told her I wasn't looking for anything and started dating someone so soon after hurt her feelings a lot. I've never felt worse, and to be honest, I kind of wish I could go back to take her on a date. She was an awesome girl. I was seriously attracted to a coworker and we became fast friends. We hung out a lot, went on travels together, shared hotel rooms, but he never busted a move on me. Finally, on a trip to Vegas with him I got sort of drunk and kissed him. He pushed me away and said that he didn't feel that way about me. I was pretty crushed and embarrassed, so he just held me until I fell asleep. I was really confused. I've never had a problem with men before. This is the only guy who didn't at least want to sleep with me, so I went and convinced myself he must be gay. He was attractive, but never had anything to do with women. Flash forward a few years. He's engaged to an absolutely stunning, cool as hell, really accomplished woman. Turns out he wasn't gay, he just had really high standards in women and really high standards in personal behavior.